are not at the whim of fate. You are the conscious co-creator of your own life experience. That's the foundation of the empowered approach to astrology, which you can experience through my Empower Hour and Empower Hour Plus consultations, on which there is a special discount at the present moment at the link above. So when you're going through the ringer, right? When it feels like the pressure is on and it's pressing every last ounce of juice out of you, when it feels to you like you're being pushed against the ropes, slammed against a brick wall. In short, when it feels like life's just giving you all those lemons that you don't really want to do, and there's not enough lemonade that you can drink that's going to make it all better in the first place, right? Sometimes you have to do that thing which you think least that you should be doing. And that doesn't involve giving up. But what it does involve is not working against what's going on. Being a conscious participant in what's happening, right? It's like the age-old saying, if you can't lick them, join them. So if life is making things difficult for you, maybe, just maybe, it's about the fact that you're resisting the change that's actually going to be the best for you, right? Maybe that thing that you don't want to do is the thing that you most need to do. And so I hear what you're saying. You're saying, but that is giving up. No, it's not giving up, because you're making the conscious choice to go in that particular direction. Instead, you're recognizing that this is the way. You're surrendering to the flow, but you're doing so in a very strong manner, because you recognize not necessarily that resistance is futile. You can resist as much as you like. You can keep pushing against that change, which really, really, really wants to happen, but it's going to happen in a certain way. So at the end of the day, the choice is ultimately up to you. It may feel absolutely correct to you to resist till the last minute when the change happens, right? But change is going to happen anyway. And I think it's probably becoming clearer to you in your own universe that this is the case. So rather than let your pride get in the way of a change, why not be the active participant in the change that's going on? Venus and Mars are presently transiting through the lunar mansion of Magha Nakshatra until the 10th of July. I know that there are some people out there who are not really familiar what lunar mansions or nakshatras actually are. They're a separate division of the sky, just like the signs divide the sky into 12 equal portions of 30 degrees each. The lunar mansions, more often called the nakshatras, split the sky into 27 divisions of 13 degrees and 20 minutes. And they tend to determine how we're growing our lives at any particular moment in time. Magha Nakshatra deals with the ancestors, the Pitata, as they are also called. So what's that all about? What are the ancestors all about? Well, it's about reflecting on the past, right? It's about going back over old ground and giving yourself an opportunity to heal that. And also, how your mom or your dad or, maybe even some other distant relative always wanted to give you advice, but you didn't really want to listen? Interestingly enough, that's another aspect of Magha Nakshatra. Quite often when planets are active in Magha Nakshatra, the thing that we most want to do is the thing that we resist doing because our ego's getting in the way. Because, hey, let's face it, I'm not going to knock the ego. It's a necessary thing. You're navigating the experience of consciousness. You're here as an individual soul going through this. You're dealing with the hardship. Of course, you need a good, strong sense of self in order to navigate those changes. But occasionally, pride gets in the way of you seeing a vital piece of information from another part of yourself, your soul. Your soul is wanting to come through and give you the wisdom that you need, but your heart's shut down. Why is your heart shut down? Because to open up your heart means going into the vulnerability. And when you're going through hardship, that vulnerability, well, let's face it, that's the thing that you least want to go into. And on another level, at the present moment, you're likely dealing with a scenario where you do have to be strong. Magha Nakshatra, just like all the other nakshatras, has a special power that's connected to it. And with Magha Nakshatra, that's the power to leave the body. Okay, so Magha Nakshatra gives us the capacity to soldier on through difficult circumstances, to keep our pride or our dignity in the positive sense intact. But in the more negative sense, sometimes the ego gets in the way. And so due to a difficult situation, you've likely been armoring your pain in regards to a specific situation because you've been needing to kind of push forward and just get on with your day-to-day existence. One aspect of your life is requiring you to be solid and be strong. And so you don't feel that you can afford to go into that vulnerable feeling. But another part of your life to which you're slowly being, pushed towards is asking you to open up to that vulnerability. It's asking you to participate in the changes. It's asking you to go through that inner transformation, that emotional difficulty that you might not want to go through so that you can come through the other side once the grieving process is over with and something powerful can be born anew from what you've been going through. I want to talk a little bit more about this transit. Some things that you may find coming to the surface are healing ancestral wounds. Things that may have happened during your childhood may come to the surface, most especially in regards to your mother and father during this particular time. So pay special attention to that. Let yourself go into it. Let yourself go into it wholeheartedly. But something that's really interesting about this, and it's bringing me to feel inspired to tell a story, right? And I'm going to do that, is that Magha Nakshatra is connected to a mouse, right? Every nakshatra has an animal connected to it. And Mars and Venus, as they're transiting through Magha Nakshatra, are being aspected by Jupiter, which is in Bharani Nakshatra. Okay, Bharani is about that transformation that happens. It's about giving birth to something, right? But just like birth has contractions and labor pains, we go through those labor pains so that impurities can be removed in association with Bharani Nakshatra so that something new can be created. And Bharani Nakshatra is connected to an elephant. Now, interestingly enough, we probably all know about Ganesha, who is the remover of obstacles and is a god that is pictured as that is an elephant. And he has another animal, what's called his vahana, or it's what he rides around on. Every deity has that, and that is a mouse. So there's a very strong connection between Ganesha and the mouse, and it really fits in well with these particular nakshatras. So I want to go into depth with this. And this particular story relates to the concept of something called a Gandharva, which is a celestial musician. Okay, there was a Gandharva, and he was performing at the court of Indra, which is another god, right? And he was called forward. And when he got up to go forward, he accidentally stepped on the toe of a sage called Vamadeva. Now, Vamadeva got really upset with that and went, "Oh, you idiot, I'm going to turn you into a rodent." So he did. He turned him into a mouse, right? Only problem was he became a rather big mouse. He was a huge mouse, and he created a lot of danger for the crops in the area and the farms in the area, and he was wreaking havoc along the countryside. And this mouse, this huge mouse, happened upon the a place where Ganesha was staying, which was at a retreat, the ashram of the sage Parashara, who's one of the ancient sages connected to Vedic astrology. You may have, if you follow Vedic astrology, heard of a text called Brihat Parashara or a Shastra. That's connected to Parashara. So Ganesha was staying at Parashara's ashram, and the mouse came along, and Ganesha had heard about what was going on, so he decided he was going to catch this mouse. So he had a noose. Now, I want to stop there because the deity that's connected to Bharani Nakshatra is Yama. Yama is a deity of restraint. He also is connected with taking souls to the ancestral realm after they've passed away, so that they can reflect back on their lives and decide if another birth is necessary. So notice the connection with the ancestors there as well. But Yama is pictured with the noose as well. So Ganesha took this noose and captured the mouse, right? And he said, this mouse needs to be punished for everything that he's done. But the mouse just looked up at him and said, please go easy on me. He goes, I couldn't help it. I was big, and, there was nothing I could do, because when he turned me into a mouse, there was no way for me to do anything other than, in the manner in which things happen. So I didn't mean any harm to the countryside. I wasn't doing it on purpose. So Ganesha decided to go easy on him, but recognized that this mouse needed to be reduced in stature. There's a lesson that's there. And so he stepped on the mouse to make the mouse smaller. And this is why you always see Ganesha riding on that mouse. Ganesha is the removal of obstacles, but quite often for those obstacles to be removed, our pride has to be diminished, right? And so that's the connection here between Magha and Bharani, Jupiter transiting Bharani Nakshatra and aspecting Venus and Mars in Magha Nakshatra. At this particular moment, your ego needs to get smaller, right? You need to see the bigger picture and what really needs to happen moving forward. And if you can try not to resist the process and not let your pride get in the way of a change that's not just impacting you, but equally impacting other people with whom you interact, a tremendous amount of healing becomes open to you at the moment that you decide to do that. It takes you through a very profound process that couldn't have happened unless you made this particular decision, unless you had decided to stop resisting. So stop checking out of that area of your life that's really difficult for you, and check in with what you really need to do, and check in with yourself as you go through the process. Sorry, there's a motorcycle going by. As you go through the process of all the changes that ultimately really need to happen. This may sound difficult to you. But the process ultimately is very positive and equally exceptionally powerful. And if you could use a little bit of help with this, again, I do offer astrological services, which are presently available at a special offer, my Empower Hour and the Empower Hour Plus consultations. And these you will find available at the link above. That's going to do it for this look at Venus and Mars's transit through Magha Nakshatra, which takes place between now and the 10th of July, 2023. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.